Hey everyone, this is Ultra Winner. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at, or just kind of talk through a discussion about posing your figures and is it safe? Should it be done? Why some collectors don't pose their figures? And just kind of just share my thoughts on it as a, new to Hot Toys collector. I picked up my first, I guess my first hot toy I picked up in December 2023, and then picked up my second one. Just because I didn't decide to collect until December 2024. And one of the first ones I got, and she actually made me the first one I actually unboxed, was the Ahsoka Season 7 Clone Wars variant. And by the way, Hot Toys, I'd be super happy if you actually made a live action version of Season 7 that actually fought Anakin front. So Ariana Greenblatt here in this suit. That'd be awesome. But, second note. But even if you made it an exclusive, I'd be okay with that because I know it's probably not going to sell super well. But I picked this one up, and the one thing I saw online, everybody saying, oh, don't bend the arms, don't bend the arms, don't bend the arms, because the arms will damage. And so I didn't. I had her like with her arms straight down and her blades behind her like everybody else does. And I started thinking, okay, well, why buy a figure? Why are they selling a figure that you can't actually pose? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I decided to go and pose her, and for the most part, she's been in a dynamic pose with her arms bent for, I guess now it's August, so 8-9 months now. And no issues at all. I go back and look at it. Again, like I say, my figure's not kept in glass cabinets in a room that I don't use other than showcase or to stream. It's in my office and they're on an open shelf, so they're exposed to dust, they're exposed to the elements, they're exposed to the air conditioning, so there's no buildup of humidity and things like that could be an issue, no dryness, whatever the case may be. And so, had her no issues. And then I picked up the Ariana Greenblatt version from the Ahsoka series, which, I don't know if you guys know, but this is probably one of the most phenomenal characters of figures I've ever picked up, and at Hot Toys, in my collection of Hot Toys. Now, granted, mine's much smaller than a lot of you guys, but from the likeness to the choice of materials, I couldn't have asked you for anything more. And, as you guys know, my favorite Jedi is Ahsoka, so I'm super happy that they were really faithful for this recreation, which is why I need the same thing live action for this one. And I just got in the Rosario Dawson, Peridea Ahsoka, which, again, just knocked it out of the park. Materials, the whole nine. And the first thing, I saw a video when I started getting her in, and I was like, oh, be careful with the arms. And then one of a YouTuber, I can't think of his name, but he actually broke his on screen. And, said, oh, don't bend these arms. And I'm sitting around like, okay, so why are we spending this money on figures that we can't even pose? So I decided I'm just going to pose mine anyway and see how it goes. Because at the end of the day, if they break, then I'll find something to do with it. With this Ahsoka here, the old Season 7, she's pretty inexpensive, so buying a replacement version of her wouldn't be that big a deal to part out. She also comes with a cloak, so you could always hide it with the cloak. The new Ahsoka the White from Peridea, she has a cloak, so you can always cover her arms up if they got bad. Because she even has the silicone underneath her body, so it's actually a body to the elbow, so which is really good as opposed to like this Ahsoka here. You can see the joint right, if I can get this to focus, right there. Maybe this side's easier to see. Yeah, there you go. So you can see the joint right there. So it just plugs into the body of silicone arm. So it's a little different of a look, but for the most part, I know some people like vanilla pose and museum poses and a whole nine, but for an action figure, I don't understand why dynamism in your posing is not something a lot of those collectors do. Maybe it's just for room or whatever the case may be. But specifically with these ones with these silicone arms, and I know there's a lot of talk about that because of what's going on with the InArt Wonder Woman, where they came out and said, hey, we're changing it from medical grade because it's not as durable, it doesn't hold as long, the paint tampos aren't working as well. So they're going to a different grade of silicone. And so there's been a lot of questions around that. Personally, like I said, I think if we have an issue with it, it'd be great if these guys came out and said, hey, this is what the issue is. I like the fact that InArt did that. You know, I don't have any InArt figures yet. This Wonder Woman BVS is going to be my first one. And so, because she is my second favorite superhero behind Captain America, and I don't think I've showed you guys this yet, but I'm working on my Wonder Woman wall, and I do have my posters up with a couple of my comic books, and we'll do a whole tour on that probably once I do the update and get the one up there. But yeah, just kind of wanted to just see what you guys thought about this. If you actually pose your silicone figures, or if you're scared you're gonna braid. Other thing too is, like I said, and I brought this up to a YouTuber on the live stream, and they just kind of just, you know, brush it off. But I said, same thing with the Anakin and the poofy hair. A lot of these YouTubers have these module space cases or detox or whatever, and they're, you know, in glass, sealed, in rooms that either they just use for collections or in, it may be in their office, but the cabinets are sealed, so they're dust proof, which is great, I guess, if you're trying to make sure that you don't get dust on your figures, which I don't really see that being an issue because there's a lot of collectors that do. But I wonder if those cases are the culprit, because I say, again, everyone I've seen on YouTube with the poofy hair Anakins, our Anakin, Artisan Anakin, and then the Artisan Darth Vader Sith Apprentice, they're all in module space cases or sealed cases. But when I watched Jetta's video the other day, he had him in the background. His hair looks like the day it did. The video he did, you know, when he first got it. Like I said, I've had mine since they dropped available, and I bought a secondary market, of course, like most of us in the US didn't have that. And his hair is the exact same as it was. I got it, so I wonder if maybe the condition that we're keeping these in, trying to keep them dust-proof, and dust-free and dust-proof cabinets, is causing an issue with how these figures are lasting over time. Because I don't see anything about, you know, from any of these guys in our Hot Toys about should they be in dust-proof situations. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't seen anything about that other than maybe the proper temperature, but humidity and things of that nature, I haven't seen any specifics on. And I really feel that maybe we're the problem with some of these issues we're having with these figures because of how we're choosing to keep them. And as you guys see, my cabinets are open, you know, no glass, no shelves, the whole nine. So, but I just want to just kind of talk through this and see what you guys thought. You know, what you think? If this is something that you do and you do dynamic pose your figures, you know, with silicone arms, or just the ones in general, or if you stay away from that because there is an issue and you don't want to have to replace it, you know, you'd rather keep it in the vanilla pose versus having it, the arms bend, and then a dynamic pose where you may risk having to buy a new unit. So, yeah, just want to get you guys' thoughts on it. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Later.